Hey there, today I'm going to show you how to draw Ariel from The Little Mermaid. So we're going to start with her eyes. Let's start with the one on the left, along the top of her eyelash. So starting on the outside, do a curve going towards the center of her face. From this point here, I'm going to draw the bottom lash. So doing the reverse curve, not as steep as the top, a little bit shallower, and then they end off at the same distance here. We're going to step in a little bit and draw a curve for the eyeball. Then I step in a little bit more and draw a curve for the pupil. And then inside I'm going to draw a circle. So the inner part of her pupil is a black circle. And then on the top right corner of the circle, we're going to draw a smaller round circle for the highlight. And then here, we're just going to color that in black. Okay, for this drawing, we're just going to focus mostly on the upper body, maybe mostly in her head, just because that's probably the detail that you want to see the most of. So above the eyelash, we're just going to draw a curve that's just sort of for the eye socket or for her double eyelid. And then here, right where the pupil is, we're just going to draw a curve that goes up. And draw that 3 times along that upper edge of her eyelash. Okay, now that we have the eye, let's move over. We're going to leave a gap here for her other eye, but we're going to have her facing sort of in that direction. So starting up here, we're going to draw the top edge of her nose. So from here, I'm going to draw a curve that goes in. And then from this point, I want to locate the tip of her nose. So her nose is pretty high up. Don't want it to be too low. So from this point, we just want to curve out to the tip of her nose. And from this point, we're just going to do the reverse curve to the bottom of her nose. We're going to move over a little bit and draw a curve, almost like a little hook for a nostril. And then beside it, we'll just draw another curve, slightly bigger. Let's move over to the back. So her eye on the back side here gets sort of obscured by this nose bridge. So right about here, I'm going to draw a curve to sort of mimic that same line here. And so they have to be roughly at the same height. Then from here, I'm going to curve down, so doing an overlap for her eyeball to the same height. And we'll draw in an upwards curve that sort of overlaps for the bottom of her eyelash. And again, I'm going to do the same thing here. So we're going to draw the outer pupil, then we'll draw a smaller one in the inside, and then again a little highlight at the top, coloring the rest in black. Alright, and from here I'm going to draw the double eyelid again, so going up a little bit, and drawing a curve. Then right here I'm going to draw her eyelashes, so 1, 2, I'll just tuck this underneath for 3. Let's draw her lips, so right about here, I'm going to start the point right about here, working my way to this outer part. So she's going to have a nice big smile. So right about here, I'll draw a curve going up. And then from that same point, I'm just going to taper out the upper lip and then bring it back down to meet that point there. From here, I'm just going to draw a little hook, a little curve. From this point, I'm going to draw a curve going up and then tucking underneath that upper lip. And then from that same point, I'm just going to draw the bottom lip. So going out wide, then coming back in. Alright, now let's draw the contour of her outer part of her face. So from here, right above the eye, draw a curve going in towards the eye. Like that. And from here, I'm going to just curve outwards for her cheek, in towards her chin, which would be right about here. So I'm going to put a point here. I want this chin to curve in the opposite direction. So up, out towards the cheeks. From this point, I'm just going to curve out towards her jaw. Right, so now we got our chin. Now let's get up to the forehead. So the forehead is going to go in the opposite direction. So from this point, I'm just going to draw a small curve for her forehead. Let's draw in the big hairband that comes over her face first before we get into the rest of her head. So right about here, let's put a point here. I want to curve this down, across the forehead, and then coming back towards the head. Now we don't have to close it off, keep it open, but here, I just want to go in and just finish that off. Let's draw an eyebrow. So right about here, I'm going to imagine this coming up this way, so leave a gap, and draw a curve for her eyebrow. And then here, you'll probably just see a little bit in the front, and a little bit in the back, just right there. Let's draw on this hair. So here, it's going to curve up. Let's do an overlap. And curve up, and go up to the top of her head, which would be right about there. It's pretty high. I'll come back down. So this is coming back towards her head. we're going to do an overlap. So I'm going to bring this line back in. So do an overlap around. I'm going to kind of bring that in towards the face. Here I can draw a couple more strands of hair, so I'm doing a couple more lines. So, alright, now that we have that, I usually go down towards the neck. So we're going to step in a bit from the chin and draw outward curve for the front of her neck. Let's go to the back. So here, I'm just going to try to get some lines in so I can draw in the rest of her face. So here I would curve out and in. And right about here, let's do an overlap and draw another curve. And then right here, I'm going to draw, so imagine this line going to the jaw. I'm going to draw a curve that hooks up for her ear. And then right in behind her ear, I'm just going to draw a curve that leads towards that point, leaving a gap. Draw a little curve here for some ear detail. And if you want, you can draw a little bit of a sideburn. It comes down like so. And at that same point where the ear meets the jaw, I'm going to draw an outward curve. So there's the back of the neck. Alright, so then let's draw in a bit more hair. So up here, I'm going to probably draw the back of her hair. So let's draw a curve that comes around. And then I'm going to draw an overlap here. Her hair is very wavy. So here I'll draw the front. And I'm just drawing a bit of the hair first. So I'm going to draw the top part of her body and then we'll go in and finish the rest of the hair. So I'm going to have her arms coming forward. I don't really have that much space to work with. So start here, do an overlap. We'll round out her shoulders. Like so. This arm, I'm going to come down to her elbow right about here. So from this point, I'm going to curve slightly towards her elbow. Start in her armpit here, and we'll come down with a straightish line to the same length. Now here I'm going to have her sort of arm coming out. We'll have her body coming around, but again, I'm not going to draw her tail and everything just because I don't have enough room. But we'll go down to the wrist. So from here, I'm just going to bump this out a little bit and curve back in towards the wrist. From here, again, the wrist gets a little bit narrower, so from the elbow, I'm going to curve towards her narrow wrist. And I'm just going to simplify the hand. Here I'm just going to draw the palm with a curve. And for the fingers, I'm just going to draw a curve that comes out and up. And we'll do a series of overlaps, 4 times, 3, 4, up to her knuckles. And then from this point in her wrist, I'm just going to draw a straight line to that knuckle. Alright, let's draw the front of her chest. So from here, I'm going to draw the one side here. So let's draw a curve around. And draw a curve towards the center. Straight line, and curving up. From this point, I'm going to go upwards. Now the shell has like these little bumps, so I'm going to draw a bump, 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 bump. And you can see I'm kind of curving around as I come down to the bottom here. From the bottom, I'm going to curve in. Okay, that's a little bit tricky, so you might want to pause, maybe do some rewinding, and replay that again. From this point, I want to make my way towards the center here. So everything sort of comes in towards the center. Like so, with an upward curve. From this point, I'm just going to do a reverse curve going up. Let's draw the center of her chest here. And then little collarbone, I'm just going to draw a little upward curve, kind of like a U shape there. Let's draw her rib cage, so this will come in. So her body's going to come this way. So for her back, I'll probably start it right about here and curve towards her waist. So a little curve going in. Let's draw the back of the strap, so an upward curve there. Now from here, I'm going to draw an overlap. Again, I'm going to curve out towards her hips. Okay, that's probably as far as I'm going to go with that because I'm running out of space here. So let's draw the front of her leg, so her thigh. Her leg could come up this way. So starting here, curve up. Underneath this arm, I'll continue on right about here. Then from this point, I'm going to come down to the curve. Let's draw the little waistline detail. So from here, I'm going to do an overlap. So this is going to come this way. So overlapping. And I'm going to do a curve right around that point. Coming around like so. And because this thing is sort of see-through, start up here, curving into that point, 1. And I'll curve out, 2. I'll curve 3. Curve 4. Okay, now let's get into the back arm. So here, let's get into the shoulder. So the shoulder will drape down, upward curve. I'm going to round out the shoulder, and then curve this underneath that leg. Coming up here, again, I kind of want to similar thickness as this arm in the back, but slightly smaller, because it's in the background. So come up like that. And then we can go ahead and finish the hair. So from here, I want to curve out, curve back in, curving out, I'll curve this inwards. I'll do an overlap and just kind of finish the hair off behind her, like so. From this point, I'll curve up, I'll curve this behind that arm, and I'll probably continue on right underneath, behind that arm there. And I think that's as far as I'm going to take it. There we have it. There is Ariel from The Little Mermaid. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Please make sure to check out our Disney characters playlist. We have a ton of characters in there for you. Tell your friends about us, get them to subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.